Was there ever a point where you wanted to like give up? Was there ever a point where you think you did give up?
In 2009 for a year. I got on TV in 2007, so like a year after it started. I got followed by the BBC like for 4 weeks, and they were like, it was to get it. There was a big comedy chain called Junglers, and they were following me and this old guy around, to see if it was like harder for a young actor, old school comedian to get like make it in comedy now, and you had to do these challenges. It was off. I had to do a full set of do me set to this guy called Ricky Grover was the comedy. He used to play a character called Bullet on Channel 4.
Right.
Big, massive ex-heavyweight boxer Greek guy. Very funny comedian. But I lived in a little council house in Liverpool. I had a full BBC film crew. And him sat on my couch and I had to do my set to him in my living room. It was fucking terrible. I still have nightmares about that. But we had to do... so I got on that, and then it just in my head I was like, "This is it. This is me thing." Because everything had gone right to that point, and then that just didn't go the way I thought it was gonna go, and I lost that, and I was like, "Fuck!" And then my head just fell off, and then I was getting gigs off the back of it, but I just wasn't ready for, and I was putting myself in for them because I was like, "Yeah, I can do them," and I just couldn't. And then it kind of all fell apart, and I thought, "Oh, I can't do this anymore," and I quit. And it's just the traveling around and stuff as well. Like, you know yourself, when you're traveling around on your own, it can get to you. It's very difficult. Like, just living in hotels and stuff like that. It's really hard to keep yourself sane. Yeah. So I was like, I can't do this anymore, and I stopped.
Trick to that is being completely insane from the start. That's how I do it. But, no, I know what you mean, because it's definitely a lonely life. It is. Yeah. And even though it seems like it's something that's fun to do, like people say to me all the time about eating. I must be going around eating, and yeah, I'm thankful for it. But there are times when you think, fucking hell, I miss my family, I miss me, especially when you're away a lot. So if you're a comedian, you're literally on these like super long tours all the time. Yeah. Then it must be difficult. I get that.
Yeah. And it's like, especially back in them days, like it was just, there was no money. Like I wasn't getting paid very much. So I'm on National Express buses going around in the middle of the night and stuff. It was hard. So I stopped. And then I was just pottering around. And I was still telling people I was a comedian, because what else are you going to tell people? And then I bumped into a mate of mine who does me tour sport now, Phil, after about a year. And he was like, where the fuck have you been? And I was like, but I was with another guy from the gym. I'd come out of the gym, and I was with this other guy, and I was obviously told this guy I was a comedian, because what else are you going to say? And he was like, where have you been? And I was like, what do you mean? And he's like, why aren't you gigging anymore? And I was like, oh, I am, yeah. And he was like, where? And I was just like, I've been about. I just haven't bumped into you. And he was like, you haven't.
He just called me straight out.
Yeah. And he was like, mate, you can't stop doing stand-up. I was like, I haven't stopped doing stand-up. He went, there's this new club started, Hot Water. He said, book yourself in. It was only like a Sunday night open mic. Book yourself in, go and do your set. So he made me get on and ring them up and book in with them. And so I did, and I thought, I'm going to cancel that as soon as I leave. And then I just never, and then it was in like 3 weeks later, and I forgot about it. I was at a barbecue, I'd had a few cans, and it popped up with a reminder on my phone, and I was like, oh shit. My mate was like, come on, let's just go and do it. But I was half pissed. Yeah. So I got there, and when I got there, it was all like newer acts, and some of them recognised me, like remembered, like I'd done the circuit, so they were like, oh, he's good. So I went, all right, we'll put him on at the end. So I'm just getting more pissed. And I was like, and then, so the night, it was fine. And this guy was hosting. He was all right. He was a bit quiet. And I got on the stage, and I used to start my set. I used to be really worried about people heckling me, because I'd never really hosted. So I was always panicked about it. So I used to start the set with like, I used to think people are going to heckle me about being ginger. So I used to start, let's see if I can remember this. I used to start by going, people shout, red ginger pubes, king and ginger toss, a copper wire, copper bollocks, copper tongue, sun dodger, Duracell, rusty nuts, rusty bollocks, rusty Lee, she's black, that doesn't even make sense. Carrot top, oh look at it's having a bonfire, that was a good one. That really hurts from a 6-year-old girl. I used to think I can get all them out the way, but I started doing that and I couldn't remember it. So I went, and I thought, fuck, I fucked this thing. I can't remember my stuff. So I was like, I'm going to have to just mess with the crowd. So I just had to start messing with the crowd. And it went really well, because no one had done it. Yeah. And the owner was like, that was really funny. Do you want to do some hosting? So I was like, okay. So I went back a couple of weeks later, done another bit of hosting for him. And then he was like, do you want to just do them all? So I ended up there every week. And I thought, I'll just do this to keep me hand in. And then it went to Sunday and Friday, then Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then every night. And then that club went mad, and then he started filming it. So I was just at that club for like 8 years. And everyone was like, you can't just be in one club. You have to travel around as a comedian. And I was like, why?
This is working out.
Yeah, but no one thought, because social media wasn't like, no one thought you can just film yourself and put yourself out there. No one was doing it.
So obviously that crowd, you're well known for your crowd work. The amount of people that I've spoken to recently that have booked tickets to go see your tour, and they've seen you on TikTok or Instagram, and they think that your show is the crowd work. Yeah. And I'm saying to him, like, he's got a show.
Don't
like that
should. It's not.
I'm like, he's got a performance, but you are so well known because of the crowd work. And like how, what sort of possessed you to think, right, there's a bit of art for there's such an art form to this, and like if we just stick it on social. Were it you that did it, or were it the club?
No, I told them not to do it.
Oh really?
I was like,
my man. See, that's my kind of thing. That's what I do. Nah, don't put that up.
I know. I was like, well, no one's gonna watch that shit. Yeah. Like I was like, it's just me fucking about. Like, but because what we did was, the two guys who own Hot Water, two of my best mates, Paul and Binty, the brothers. And Paul's like the businessman. He loves marketing. He just sits and watches graphs and stuff and turns them on. He's very good at what he does. He was like, we're going to start filming and putting social media clips out. And I was like, no one's going to, and no act's going to want to do it because you're burning all the material. No one's going to want to do it. And he's like, they will. So he's like, we're just going to film one night a week. We're filming Monday night. We get like 10 acts down to do short spots and we put clips out. And I was like, so at that time, we wanted it to look like Live at the Apollo, but we couldn't afford like loads of cameras. So we had one camera person in there. So while I was on stage, they were filming the crowd, for cutaways. Yeah. So I like to joke that all those early videos, all the laughter, everyone laughing is laughing at me. But so I goes on, and there's 2 sections to the show with 5 acts on each. So I'd do like 10 minutes at the start to warm them up. Then I'd go on, get an act on, and unless they absolutely died on their ass and I had to pull it back up, I'd just get the next act straight on because there was so many acts on, I didn't want the crowd to get tired. But the first video that went mad. A guy walks off, I walk on, and a guy from the middle of the front row gets up and walks out to go to the toilet. And I thought, well, I can't bring the next guy on because he's going to come back in the middle of his set. And I knew he was like kind of a one-liner comedian. He was not going to deal with it very well. So I was like, I'm just going to have to wing this here. So I just spoke to this guy, and I just asked him what he did, and he said, I could jag you here. But his mate looked at him. I just gave him this little look, and I went, why has he just looked at you like you sell cocaine? And his mate went, and I went, you fucking sell cocaine. and all his mates went mad, and it's just, everyone's just screaming. I'm laughing my head off. And that was like the first video that they got of me. And I didn't think nothing of it. I went away for my mum's 60th birthday the next week to Portugal, come back, and that video gone viral. And I come back, we landed, we needed bread and milk. I took the baby to Tesco and I walked around, and there's these three kids just looking at me, and I was thinking, am I getting mugged in Tesco? Like, what the fuck? This can't happen. So they're following me down, they're at the end of the aisles, and they're like looking at me, and I'm like, and I'm walking to the next day, and they're like, go, and they're peeping their head round again, and I'm like, what's happening here? This is weird. And then some woman stopped me and went, you're the lad off that video, aren't you? And I was like, yeah, she went from the comedy club, and I went, yeah. She went, I love it's brilliant that. She went, can I have a picture? So she got a picture, and then someone else got a picture, and someone else got a picture, and then these 3 lads come up, knew it was you, can we have a picture? And I was like, my head fell off a little bit because I was like, I didn't know how to deal with it. So it's just, I got the baby and left Tesco.
You left the bread and milk behind?
Yeah, it was awful.
That's amazing, that, innit? Like, to say that's the thing that sort of like popped off, and it seems like every clip that you put out now just sets on fire on the internet. Like,
yeah, we had some good ones. There's a guy who pretended to be deaf in my front row. People still think he was deaf. He wasn't deaf. So and he just started going, and I was like, you're fucking not deaf, are you? You can't go, you're not deaf, because it'll be some fucking like Zimbabwean sign language that I don't know or something like that. I come across as a prick. So all the way through the show, I'm like covering my mouth to see if he's still laughing and shit, because he was pretending he was lip reading and that. But yeah, that video went mad, and it must have, like, I owe him a pint because it must have sold me about 40,000 tickets or something crazy.